Hello and welcome to this week's news at Gaming Bolt. Today we're going to be talking about Red Dead Redemption 2, specifically Rockstar and Take-Two's stance on it till now. Now, both companies and the approach they're taking with the game's development has been pretty admirable up till now. Though they're obviously hoping for a successful game, which analysts are sure it will be, monetization is not their primary concern. They are instead concerned first and foremost with just making a great game. That same philosophy, in fact, is governing everything they're doing with Red Dead Redemption 2, including the prospect of having a Battle Royale mode in the game. In an interview with Game Daily, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said that while they certainly aren't ruling out having a Battle Royale mode in Red Dead Redemption 2, it's not something they want to do simply to chase a trend. No one wants to be a Fortnite clone, seems to be their driving philosophy, and instead they only want to include something in their game if it is in service of the core entertainment experience. We've used Battle Royale mechanics before, Zelnick said. I wouldn't rule it out, but any mechanic you use would want to be in the service of the core entertainment experience and would be consumer focused. It wouldn't be driven by revenue focus in our view. And if one is overly derivative of another's success, you pretty much guarantee you're not going to have your own success. Because no one is looking for a clone of Fortnite. I wish we had Fortnite. We don't, so wishing we had Fortnite is not going to help me. That doesn't mean you wouldn't use a mechanic that's in other games, he continued. We're certainly not averse to using something created by someone else in service of a good experience in our own games, so there are moments when you might choose to be derivative for some small portion of a game. But I think there's a lot of emphasis on questions that have been posed more pointedly by some, which is, hey, look at Fortnite. Shouldn't everything you do be some example of Fortnite? The answer is absolutely not. If we turned an upcoming release into a sad, diluted version of Fortnite, I can assure you it would fail, in addition to being embarrassing for the brand. Now moving on to Gears 5, not Gears of War 5, it's looking like the breath of fresh air that the series has been in need of for some time, as it looks to shake up the formula, at least to some extent, that the franchise has settled into over the course of 5 games. Developer The Coalition revealed the game at E3 2018 with a meaty trailer, and have been dropping hints about new pieces of info ever since, which is exactly what we're here to talk about today. The official Gears of War Twitter account has given out new details on a new type of enemy that players will be coming up against in the game, along with a short GIF to let us see what it looks like. The Warden is a scion that once used to be a locust and is a heavily armored brute that uses 2 crystallized axes as its main weapons. Don't get close to this one, the tweet warns. The heavily armored bit is obviously suggesting that the Warden is going to be tough to take down, while its weapons also look suitably badass. Gears 5 is set to launch for the Xbox One and PC in 2019, though a release date for the game hasn't been announced. The Coalition seemingly have grand ambitions for the game, which they claim is going to be their biggest project ever. Then again, they've only ever made one other game, which is Gears of War 4, besides remastering the original Gears of War. There's one thing we'll give Hello Games full credit for, how tirelessly they've been working on No Man's Sky since its original release back in 2016. That release, as we're sure you'll remember, was a bit of a mess, with promised features, most notably multiplayer, missing entirely from the game. Since then, Hello Games has updated it to improve the core gameplay loop, add new features and functionality, and overhaul its very foundation. Now with the upcoming next update for the game, which is planned for next week, they come the closest they have been to meeting the promise of the game as it was originally pitched. This new update adds, among other things, a third-person POV, full multiplayer with friends and random players, including co-op and the ability to take on other players, as well as substantially improved graphics. New terrain types have also been added, as has the ability to make a base anywhere. Basically, what was promised years ago all finally seems to be in this game. It's worth noting that Hello Games is a small studio, and No Man's Sky sales can't have been too good after the initial, at the time deserved, backlash. Them continuing to turn the game around for so long after its launch and offering all these updates for free should be commended, though an argument could be made that they're only now delivering the product they originally promised to begin with. No Man's Sky Next will launch on PS4 and PC on July 24th. The Xbox One version, which releases on the same day, will have the update available from launch. After E3 2018, it's that time of the year when the industry sets its sights on Gamescom. This year's trade fair will take place from August 21st to August 25th in Cologne, Germany, and will see a number of publishers taking part. Microsoft will be one such publisher, as it revealed on Xbox Wire. It will have a booth, Hall 8 at the Colon Mess, the Xbox Fan Fest, and a special episode of Inside Xbox where it will showcase lots of news, new Xbox One bundles and accessories, and features on upcoming titles that we can't wait to tell you more about, and perhaps even a few surprises. This will likely be similar to last year's presentation, which featured a few announcements, but nothing incredibly groundbreaking, so temper your expectation. This episode of Inside Xbox will take place on August 21st at 7:30 a.m. PDT. In addition to this, Microsoft has confirmed that 25 games across a diverse range of genres will also be present. When the trade fair opens its doors to the general public, they'll have the opportunity to try these games out for themselves. Here's hoping that titles like Ori and the Will of the Wisps or Crackdown 3 are available to play. Microsoft surprised people in a lot of ways with their E3 press event this year, but perhaps the one thing that surprised people more than anything else was when Xbox boss Phil Spencer quickly mentioned in passing that the Xbox One X team is currently working on the next generation of Xbox. It wasn't an official announcement of the next Xbox, Xbox 2, Xbox 720, Xbox 4, and Xbox. Let's just stick with the next Xbox for now. But it took people by surprise anyway, because the general consensus among people seems to be that the current generation of consoles still have plenty of life left in them, so even mentioning a next generation seems a bit premature. Industry analyst Michael Pachter of Wedbush Securities, though, feels like the shadow mention made plenty of sense. We recently spoke with Pachter about a number of things, and one of the issues we quizzed him on was the next Xbox, and he was of the opinion that though current Xbox One X owners, a system that launched only 1 year ago, might feel a little slighted by the announcement, Microsoft are definitely going to launch their next system before Sony launches the PlayStation 5, citing 2020 as the most likely release year. I'm sure Microsoft intends to launch first, and I'm equally certain that the new Xbox will be backwards compatible with any Xbox One X software, Pachter said while speaking with Gaming Bolt. I agree that it's hard for Xbox One X consumers, but they should know 4 years into a cycle that there is another one coming. My guess is that Microsoft intends to launch in 2020, but if they think Sony is going to launch the PS5, then they will launch early. Microsoft's next Xbox system has been in conversations a lot lately. Recently, Gaming Bolt spoke on the matter with NPD analyst Matt Piscatella as well, who was firmly of the opinion that the next console's announcement isn't going to have much of an impact on the sales of the Xbox One. Though much of his efforts are currently focused on Fallout 76, a multiplayer-focused survival game that serves as a prequel to other Fallout titles, director Todd Howard is also involved with Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. Both games were highly rumored heading into E3 2018, but we never really expected to hear of them, especially in the case of the latter, which, by no coincidence, is bound for next-gen hardware. The commitment to single-player experiences, even with Fallout 76 coming, is obvious then. That said, Howard and Bethesda VP of Public Relations and Marketing Pete Hines want players to be patient for these games because they will take a while. Speaking to The Guardian, Howard stated, "We've been talking about it for a decade. We started putting things on paper 5-6 years ago, and active development was from when we finished Fallout 4, so 2.5-3 years. Everyone should be very patient for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. It's going to take a while for what we have in mind to come out." Hines further reiterated that single player is still a thing. It might continue to grow or evolve, but it's part of who we are, and we still think there's room to be successful. That doesn't mean that we should keep doing things the way we did 5 or 10 years ago. We've got to continue to change how we approach it. Howard also understands the concern over single-player games being given less importance as time goes on. Games have gotten so big and interesting that they've moved beyond the toy entertainment space, he said. It's not just a diversion from their regular lives. For a lot of people, it becomes an important part of their lives. I think we see that across a lot of games now, where people are getting joy and personal pride out of the time they spend in them. Games are unique in that. They can put you in a place. They transport you. That's why we've always done big, open-world stuff. It's what a game does really well. We like technology, we like storytelling, we like art, but saying, hey, look what we made the game do, that is, on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, the most rewarding. Even with its multiplayer focus for Fallout 76, Bethesda has promised single-player servers after launch along with mod support and private parties. Fallout 76 is out on November 14th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the upcoming Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice from Dark Souls and Bloodborne developer From Software. When Sekiro was first teased, many of us expected the same Souls-like action that From Software was known for. Following its reveal at E3 2018 though, this isn't quite the case. Set in a fantastical version of feudal Japan, Sekiro focuses on an old samurai battling a mysterious foe who took his arm. Fortunately, a prosthetic arm with trick weapons is provided to the samurai, and he journeys to rescue his young lord. However, Sekiro also provides a mechanic we haven't seen in Dark Souls or Bloodborne, the ability to resurrect. This means you don't have to respawn at the nearest bonfire or lamp or whatever the checkpoint ends up being called, but can continue fighting even after death right where you died, at times catching enemies unawares. There's a concern that this might make the experience easier, but game director Hidetaka Miyazaki believes otherwise. Speaking to PlayStation Blog, Miyazaki said there are 3 ways death influences Sekiro. For the gameplay purposes of keeping the flow good and being able to have this risky situation, to be able to use it creatively, and also that the story centers around the concept of resurrection. There's one thing I like to make sure isn't misunderstood. The resurrection system was not introduced to make the game easier. If anything, it could actually make the game harder because it allows us to push the edge of risky combat where the player can die at any moment. Essentially, you won't just waltz into every battle expecting an easy time, according to Miyazaki. Just because you have the resurrection mechanic, he said, it doesn't mean the player won't be afraid of death. Interestingly, according to Miyazaki, the resurrection system is also not yet 100% final. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is currently scheduled for release in early 2019. It's coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.